Scipio Africanus and Hannibal Barca are towering figures in the history of classical warfare. They were central figures in the Second Punic War, one of antiquity's most significant conflicts. While vastly different, their paths eventually converged in one of the most fateful and studied encounters in military history, the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE. This comparison thoroughly examines their strengths, weaknesses, military accomplishments, leadership styles, final years, and respective places in history, culminating in determining who may be considered the greater. Hannibal Barca was born in Carthage in 247 BCE to one of the city's most prominent military families. His father, Hamilcar Barca, was a well-known general during the First Punic War and instilled a strong antipathy toward Rome and Hannibal. According to legend, as a young boy, Hannibal swore never to befriend Rome. This early indoctrination determined the course of his life. When he took command of Carthaginian forces in Iberia in his mid-20s, he was already an experienced and charismatic commander. Scipio Africanus, born in 236 BCE to the patrician Roman Cornelius Scipionis family, had a very different upbringing. Scipio was raised in the disciplined world of Roman political and military tradition, whereas Hannibal grew up in an environment of military campaigns and anti-Roman sentiment. The Republic's institutions shaped him, as did the Roman ideals of duty and service. Scipio first rose to prominence as a teenager during the devastating Roman defeat at Cannae in 216 BCE, where he survived and reportedly helped rally survivors. This early demonstration of leadership signaled the start of a meteoric rise. Hannibal's most incredible triumphs came early in his campaign. His audacious decision to march his army from Spain through the Pyrenees, the Alps, and into Italy is one of history's most remarkable military maneuvers. Despite suffering tremendous losses along the way, Hannibal arrived in Italy in 218 BCE with a formidable force. He quickly won a series of stunning victories, including the Battle of Trebia in 218 BCE, Lake Trasimene in 217 BCE, and, most devastatingly, Cannae in 216 BCE, where his forces destroyed a much larger Roman army with a brilliant double envelopment maneuver. These victories shook the Roman Republic to its core, demonstrating Hannibal's unrivaled tactical genius. On the other hand, Scipio established his military reputation later in the war, starting with his command in Iberia. Despite his youth, the Roman Senate appointed him as commander of the forces in Spain after his father and uncle died in 210 BCE. Scipio turned the war on the Carthaginians, capturing their base at New Carthage in 209 BCE through intelligence, speed, and surprise. He followed up with victories at Baecula and Ilipa, effectively driving Carthage out of Spain by 206 BCE. His campaigns revealed a methodical, innovative, and bold commander, similar to Hannibal, but operating within a more structured Roman framework. The Battle of Zama in 202 BCE marked the turning point in both men's careers. In 204 BCE, Scipio invaded North Africa and began directly threatening Carthage, so Hannibal was recalled from Italy. Their armies collided near Zama, with Scipio's Roman and Numidian forces opposing Hannibal's elephants, mercenaries, and Italian veterans. The battle was a mental contest as well as a physical one. Hannibal opened with an elephant charge, which Scipio countered with specially designed lanes in the formation. Hannibal's mercenaries and second line eventually broke under pressure, leaving his veteran corps to face the newly organized Roman legions. The decisive blow came when Scipio's cavalry, led by Laelius and Massinissa, returned to the battlefield and attacked Hannibal's forces from behind. Surrounded and exhausted, the Carthaginian line crumbled. The outcome of Zama was clear. Hannibal had been defeated, Carthage sued for peace, and the Second Punic War ended. Scipio received the title Africanus for his victory. This single battle is frequently cited as the ultimate test of the two generals, but it was only the final act in a much larger drama. It should be noted that Hannibal was at a disadvantage in Zama. His troops were a patchwork of hastily assembled forces, whereas Scipio commanded a cohesive and experienced army supported by a powerful Numidian cavalry. Hannibal lacked strategic flexibility, switching to a defensive war after years of offensive brilliance. Both men possessed exceptional military abilities. Hannibal is often remembered as the best battlefield tactician. His command of the terrain, understanding of psychology, and mastery of maneuver warfare were revolutionary. His double envelopment at Cannae remains one of the most studied battle plans in the military schools. Hannibal's ability to keep his multinational army together in hostile territory for over a decade, while harassing and defeating Rome's best generals, demonstrates his exceptional leadership. While perhaps not as daring or unconventional, Scipio was a master of organization, logistics, and flexibility. He never lost a significant battle and consistently outplanned and outmaneuvered his opponents. His campaigns in Spain and Africa showcased strategic acumen far beyond his years. At Ilipa, he misled the enemy into expecting a traditional formation before reversing his lines and catching them off guard. At Zama, he combined Hannibal's tactics with Roman discipline, with devastating results. His strength was his ability to learn from others and implement new strategies within the rigid Roman military structure. Hannibal's leadership style inspired loyalty through charisma, shared hardship, and personal bravery. He lived with his troops, shared their rations, and was admired for his unwavering fortitude. Scipio, while also respected, led from above. He was a patrician who carried himself with a sense of divine destiny, frequently claiming that the gods favored him. Although admired, some contemporaries saw him as arrogant or aloof, contributing to his later political difficulties. Politically, both men suffered in unique ways. Following the war, Hannibal became a statesman in Carthage, attempting to reform the corrupt aristocracy. His efforts enraged many people, and he went into voluntary exile under pressure from Rome. Hannibal spent his later years at the courts of various Eastern kings, most notably Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire, providing military advice against Rome. He eventually committed suicide around 183 BCE to avoid being handed over to Roman agents. His death marked the end of an era, making him a symbol of both brilliance and tragedy. Scipio's political downfall was more subtle, but just as disheartening. Despite his significant contributions to Rome's survival and victory, he lost favor with the Senate. During his campaign in Asia Minor, he and his brother faced accusations of corruption and misappropriation of funds. Although he was never convicted, the experience left him bitter. He retired from public life and died in self-imposed exile around 183 BCE, the same year as Hannibal. According to tradition, he requested not to be buried in Rome, inscribing on his tomb, "Ingrata patria, ne ossa quidam habebis," ungrateful fatherland, you shall not even have my bones. Their legacies, however, reveal a different story. Hannibal is regarded as one of the greatest military minds of all time. He became a legend after crossing the Alps, destroying Cannae and fighting Rome for so long. Even his enemies admired him. Centuries later, Roman generals studied his campaigns and recognized his brilliance. However, his story ultimately ends in heroic failure. He won battles, but lost the war. He shocked Rome, but was unable to destroy it. In contrast, Scipio Africanus is remembered as Rome's savior. His victory at Zama ended the Republic's most serious threat. He exemplified the Roman virtues of discipline, foresight, and adaptability. While not as flashy as Hannibal, Scipio was a more complete general, combining strategy, diplomacy, leadership, and vision. He laid the groundwork for Rome's rise to power in the Mediterranean and eventual expansion into an empire. Determining who was better is not easy. Hannibal was the superior tactician, achieving victories despite impossible odds. His ability to maintain dominance in foreign territory for over a decade without resupply is unparalleled. Nonetheless, Scipio was the superior strategist, the more successful statesman, and the man who ultimately triumphed. He adapted, evolved, and achieved victory for Rome in a way that altered the course of history. Hannibalbarca and Scipio Africanus were two sides of the same coin. They represented two distinct worlds: Carthage and Rome, improvisation and order, innovation and tradition. Their rivalry defined a generation, and their battle at Zama is one of the most famous duels in military history. Hannibal's brilliance and courage earned him immortality as a tragic hero, whereas Scipio's success, discipline, and vision solidified his position as the architect of Rome's rise. Both were great, but in the long run, Scipio accomplished what Hannibal could not: decisive and enduring victory.